free thoughts, spoilers, blah blah blah. Feel free to curse.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was
trying
going
to
to ask.
think of all the questions that we get at. Can I curse on this? Yeah, go for it.
So I can curse. The first part is non-spoilers. The second part is spoilers. And
That's it.
cool. All right.
We're basic as shit, man.
That's
We have
fine. I
earned
like basic.
explicit tags on Toy Story 4. For some reason, like, our most aggressively inappropriate conversations have been kids' movies. I'm not sure what to say about that. It's just kind of been the case.
There's some
movie.
psychology there. This fucking kids movie.
This movie's fucking perfect. It's fucking beautiful. If you're a kid listening, go fucking see it. Oh my god, yeah. You're gonna shit yourself. It's so good.
Yeah. Why are you still like listening to this? You little shit. Go listen to it right now.
By the way, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny aren't real. Sorry.
Your parents secretly hate each other.
But the Tooth Fairy is real.
And he doesn't wait for them to fall out.
Watch Hellboy 2 and you'll understand.
Did you guys ever see Darkness Falls?
Oh, that movie's so shitty.
I heard that it was bad and did not see it.
It's not
about
good.
The Tooth Fairy, yeah.
Yeah, it's really not good.
Oh boy.
Good times. All right. Okay. Yeah, so is everybody ready to rock and roll? Anyone got any questions or anything before we start?
So we're doing Relic, right?
Yeah. This is going to be an entire podcast purely about the fact that I got divorced today.
Congratulations.
Oh, I mean, I won, so yeah.
Discussed. I won. Okay, all right. Let's
well, I had no idea that was happening. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't really like. It was funny because like I'm like, oh shit, this is like finally happening. Like, and most people have no clue. So I was like, do I need to put out like a press release on Facebook? Like, God. And then someone was like, I don't understand. You got divorced today. Why do you have to podcast? Shouldn't you be like having a drink and like settling in to just like have an easy night? And I was like, legitimately forgot that my court date was today.
Oh.
That's how much I just wasn't paying attention. Anyway.
Well, he told Bill and I maybe an hour before we recorded the Marriage Story podcast.
Oh,
because he was going to drop that on us.
Yeah, I was, because I was like, just essential context, like, as someone going through divorce, I feel like I can bring a lot to the table for this discussion, but I realized that I have not mentioned it ever. So I was like, so just so, like, I don't break the podcast, you have an hour to get used to the idea of, I'm going through a divorce. See you guys then. And then at, like, 11 p.m. last night, I was like, oh, fuck, tomorrow's the 13th? Shit. Luckily, it was all over the phone. It took legitimately 10 minutes. Anyway, so let's do it.
Quarantine divorce proceedings.
Just super anticlimactic, if I'm being completely honest with you.
That's okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so counting down. 5, 4, 3. Today's episode of the Film Stage Show is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showcasing exceptional films from around the globe. For your free 30-day trial, go to mubi.com/filmstage. Well, that's weird. For whatever reason, the sound isn't working on this.
Oh dear.
Ah, shit.
Maybe we should stop live streaming.
All right, I'm going to give this one other shot, and then if it doesn't work, I'm just going to say fuck it, and we're not going to do live sound, and I'll just cut it in. Doot, doot, doot. And it's okay. No one ever listens to the live stream. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Except this time. This time people will listen in. Just you watch.
Just
Hi, Mom.
wait. Yeah, you told your mother, and she's told all of her friends.
Yep.
Oh, no.
They didn't watch the movie, but they just want to hear my dulcet tones.
My mother did that in the early days of my podcasting. was kind of cute.
Aw,
I know.
that is cute.
Hey, I'm being supported.
Yay!
Okay. Count it in again. 5, 4, 3. Today's episode of the Film Stage Show is brought to you by Mubi, the online... Oh, shit. Today's episode of the Film Stage Show is brought to you by Mubi, the curated streaming service showcasing exceptional films from around the globe. For your free 30-day trial, go to mubi.com/filmstage. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of the Film Stage Show, the movie review podcast for thefilmstage.com. As always, I am your host, Brian J. Rowan. With me today, we have Michael Snydell.
Hello.
And a special guest to help us talk about the new Hulu original film Palm Springs, streaming now. It's Andrew Crump.
Hello, everybody.
What is up?
Not much.
Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself to our listeners?
I think I can do that. As has been said, my name is Andy Crump. I'm a movie critic, culture critic, and gosh, I would list off all my outlets, but it might be easier to talk about the ones that I haven't written for, like the Boston Globe and the New York Times. That's basically it. Everything else, I've got bylines. So I primarily write for Paste Magazine and the Playlist, Polygon, all the P ones, and Mike.com.
Playboy?
No, never got a pitch in there. So
No.
that's another one I should have listed first. So yeah,
Well,
that's 3.
Something to aspire to.
That's right.
And as I said, we are here today to talk about Palm Springs, film from Max Barbacow. This film stars Andy Samberg and Kristen Milotti. Before we get into that, all the usual stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at Film Stage Show, Facebook, The Film Stage Show. Pop us an email, podcast@thefilmstage.com. And, of course, give it a comment and a rating on iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron of this show, go to patreon.com/thefilmstageshow, where for as little as $1 an episode, you get access to our Slack channel and first crack at all of the Film Stage's movie-related raffle items. And, of course, we are brought to you by Mubi, the curated online streaming service where every day Mubi premieres a brand new film. And again, whether it is a timeless classic, a cult favorite, or an acclaimed masterpiece, it's guaranteed to be either a movie that you've been dying to see or something that you're bound to love. It's a hand-curated human selection in an algorithm-driven world. A bunch of great stuff is on there. Ganja and Hess from Bill Gunn, a 1973 film, as part of their Double Bill series, alongside Personal Problems. And, of course, last week we talked about Transit, which was one of our favorite films of the year that it came out, as well as a bunch of other stuff in their library section. We also have Hyenas by Film Stage Show favorite Jabril Diop-Mambete, and a bunch of other amazing films, like the entirety of Out One. So
You only have a few more days to... that's in 8 episodes, but I will say I'm already eyeing that because each episode's about 199 minutes. So set aside some time for that one, guys.
maybe you should hop on that, Snydell.
I'm sorry?
You should hop on that if you've been eyeing it, because it is approaching its window.
I've seen the first hour. That still probably isn't enough.
No, it's not. Also coming close to leaving is Sex and Lucia from 2001. So, if you would like a free 30-day trial of Mubi to understand why it is one of our favorite streaming services, all you got to do is go to mubi.com/filmstage. Again, it is mubi.com/filmstage. And that's that. Before we get into everything, quarantine updates. Andrew Crump, you have not been on the podcast yet before. We do a brief update about how we're doing the whole coronavirus situation. So, how has your 5 months in hell been?
Well,
That about sums
so
it
I
up.
have, yeah, exactly. That one breath just contains multitudes. I have a 1-year-old daughter, so that's been that's been the bright spot, but also the dark spot because we can't go to the parents group. We can't see family. We can't see friends. So it's really like me and her, and I think we're both starting to drive each other crazy. My wife is working from home, and I'm the stay-at-home parent, so she gets to see baby more. So that's really good. But because we can't do one thing at a time, and we can't take on just one challenge at a time, we're renovating our house. So we're staying in an apartment.
Oh no!
So yeah,
when did you decide to do that?
Well,
yes, I have questions.
so I have answers. So we started this project in 2019. We started getting it underway, like the planning. We were going to start in, mid-March. And then the fucking pandemic happened. And we thought, we're going to put this on hold. And then over time, we felt like we were safe enough to start doing it in June. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the good news, I guess, is that we don't have a whole lot of people in our lives who have contracted the illness, the virus. By that I mean none, except for my 97-year-old grandmother, who is so pissed about it that I think she's furious. She's so mad about it that I think she's scared the virus out of her body because her second test came back negative.
Through sheer ire, she was able to force it out.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
Her fury raised her internal body temperature enough that it killed it.
Yeah, I think that might be the secret. Just everybody. Well, you know what? Maybe not, because everyone in America is pissed off enough as it is, and we're still just cases are still just going up. So who knows? It's just don't mess with really old Southern women. They will not put up with you virus.
She looked that virus dead in the eyes, said "bless your heart," and the virus just ran.
The virus was like, "Oh shit,
we fucked up.
What have I done?" So yeah. Other than that, watching movies when I can, keeping my sanity.
Yeah, as a parent in quarantine, it's so my daughter's 4, and only recently has it started to become a thing that I've had to address with her, because we didn't go out a lot to begin with. We'd go to the park sometimes. We'd go, I don't know, shopping every now and then. We'd go and see her friends, but she wasn't in school yet. In fact, she was right about to start when I was like, let's not right now. Let's see how the pandemic pans out. But she has recently begun watching the Magic School Bus a lot. And so she's begun to pretend that she's going to school and asking me when she's going to go to school and really wanting to go to school. And I'm like, there's 2 big disappointments that are coming for you. 1, I don't know when you're going to be able to go to school. 2, you're not going to be on a Magic School Bus when you do.
How does the coronavirus human body episode age?
Actually, so there is one called Ralphie Gets Sick.
I remember this exact one.
Yeah, and that is one of her favorite ones. And so I don't know if that's some sort of subconscious thing. I don't know that she's aware that the world is on fire. She knows that masks are a thing that we need to wear when we go somewhere public, but I never usually took her anywhere public if I could handle it anyway, because it's easier to go grocery shopping when you don't have a 4-year-old asking you to buy things. So it's rough. And I'm working from home full time, and I just worry that if I ever have to go back to the office, she's going to have the most extreme separation anxiety of her entire life. As for me, still bottling hand sanitizer at the distillery, still working my ass off, very tired all the time. I will say that so literally 9 hours ago, I had my divorce hearing, and it was all done over the phone, and it was just, I guess it was nice, because I didn't have to go anywhere or dress up or wait in a room. It was very, very, very easy to do, but it was super anticlimactic, and it's one of those things that you just don't think about when everything's on lockdown. And it makes me wonder why people why lower tier court things like that can't be done over the phone to begin with, like traffic tickets or jaywalking, the type of stuff where like someone can't show up because they didn't get the bus and then they get a bench warrant for their arrest. So that is one of the things where I kind of hope that this whole situation allows us to think about things like that in a new way. Because it feels like if you can make it happen now for the dissolution of a marriage, then someone who got pulled over for not having their tags updated could benefit from this as well.
You would think so, but there isn't enough bureaucracy in that situation. So America wouldn't know what to do.
That is 100% true. The world would shut down. Michael Snydell, how about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, so against my better judgment, I saw my mom for the first time in 7 months. This past weekend, she came to pick me up in the city after I had asked her many, many questions about who she had seen, how close they were, and what mask she was wearing at various points. And yeah, me and my girlfriend, we stayed almost the whole weekend so she lives in a suburb called Plainfield. And there aren't mobs of people who are inconsiderate all the time, like in Chicago. And it was very confusing. And we could be outside. And it was, again, very confusing. And now that I'm back in the city, I feel like I can't go outside again. So it was a nice respite that for some reason I was hoping it would let me ease into other things. But I don't think that's the case. But I did get some new clothes, so I am not quite as worried about that anymore.
Well, that's good.
There you go.
I do want to say,
the quarantine 15.
I went to Costco the other day, and I even tweeted about it. I was just like, I'm going to Costco. I just had to pick up some pull-ups for my daughter, and I think I bought like a gallon of milk. Or like 7 gallons of milk. I don't know how big their milk containers are. But everyone was wearing a mask. Everyone was totally polite to one another. I don't know if you've ever been to a Costco, but it's like the UN. There's just so many different people and colors and languages, and everyone was cool, and there were no problems. And if you are constantly watching the news or Twitter, I just want you to know that society is, I believe, generally functional. Most places.
Most places. Funny enough, the most functional places that I've been to are breweries. So that says something.
I mean, I work in a distillery and we're pretty functional, but it's literally me and one other guy. So
well, there you go.
And yeah, while I bring it up, if anyone would like to give to our fundraiser to help us give out sanitizers to the community, all you got to do is go to schmidtspirits.com, SHMIDT spirits.com, and look for the link. But yeah, that's that. It's a good little COVID update we had. Now we can get into our feature review, which again is of the movie Palm Springs, which is currently streaming on Hulu right now. The movie is directed by Max Barbacow, written by Andy Ciara, and stars Andy Samberg and Kristen Milotti, amongst a bevy of other fine actors who I'm sure we will talk about. And here is the trailer. All right, that was the trailer for Palm Springs. Again, which is out on Hulu now. We will begin, as always, with our spoiler-free thoughts on the movie, and then move into a spoiler section. I will say that the less you know about this movie going into it, the better. And that's about it. As far as a synopsis for it, I will feel confident in saying that it is a Groundhog Day scenario grafted on top of a destination wedding. That's what I feel good with. So
I think that works.
Yeah. So let us begin. Oh, I forgot the joke I was going to do. I was totally going to pretend like Groundhog Day didn't exist and just talk about Daybreak, the ABC. The ABC thing. Oh, man.
that bit would resonate with I was going to say a 16th of the audience, but that's too much.
Only because I have seeded into this series, this podcast, my love of the like mid 2000s one season wonders, like Flash Forward, Daybreak, and Drive. Yeah. Ah, shit. Well, it's too late, but I got to talk about Daybreak anyway. Tay Diggs, check it out. So
All
yeah,
right.
let's talk about Palm Springs. Crump, what were your general spoiler-free thoughts on Palm Springs?
Well, I liked this movie. I am a longtime Andy Samberg fan. I think he is a terrific actor, a terrific comic actor. I think the Lonely Island's brand, because this is really a Lonely Island movie, even though it's directed by Max Barbakow and Andy Ciara. I like their brand of comedy, and honestly, I really kind of like time loop movies. I like people living the same day over and over again, and this might be both like a very good and very bad COVID-19 movie for that exact reason, because well, you figure it out. No, I thought this was wonderful. I will say that I'm glad that I did not see it at Sundance. I'm glad that I got to see it on its own terms, because I don't know if I would have the same feelings for it that I do having kind of seen it lying on my couch on my birthday while everyone else was napping, and I have an hour and a half to myself to watch this movie. Maybe seeing it in at the festival would have kind of tainted it for me. I don't know, but no, I think it's a wonderful little comedy. I think it's a burst of caustic sunshine at a moment when people could probably use that. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, this is
Caustic sunshine. I love that.
That's what Trump wanted to make us swallow in order to get rid of the coronavirus, right?
Oh,
Yeah, you just gotta really just let the light in. Oh my god. Anyways,
Is
We're
that
Claire
Trump
Denis
as like a
people.
faith healing sex criminal?
oh
but where's the lie?
yeah, seriously. Like,
Jesus. I will say, yeah, it like as I was watching the movie and like they do like the 7th time waking up in the same day, I'm like, I don't know if this is what we need in a COVID era, but at the same time, I
Maybe
agree.
we don't need.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, do I need to see someone who's trapped in a single place, living the same day over and over again? Michael Snydell, what are your thoughts on Palm Springs?
Yeah, I thought this was fine. I'm gonna say that I really like the cast. I've been waiting for Kristen Melody to not have a movie screw her over since How I Met Your Mother, and I think that I think that she has a good comic energy. She has good chemistry with Samberg. I like Samberg decent amount, whether he's in Lonely Island mode or whether he's in kind of this, kind of like overgrown teenager dork mode. This is kind of somewhere in the middle. Like it's a little edgier than something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for instance. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, what I'd say about it though, is that some of the jokes worked better than some of the dramatic arcs for me. And I think in particular, one character feels a lot more developed than the other. And I mean, I'm kind of beyond like being able to talk about this movie. I'm kind of glad to talk about this because, beyond there's a lot of time loop movies at this point, going back, not only
Right,
not
you've got
only,
Kissing
50
Booth.
years
You've
or
got
no, but even things like
oh wait, not
you
Kissing
have
Booth.
this-
That's what's the shitty one with the guy from Workaholics?
time some premature. No, that's not it.
Clearly, it made a great
Shitty
cultural
on-
impact.
Day.
With the guy from Workaholics. That seems so specific, and yet I don't even know.
It's like the night we met, or how we first met, or something like that.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, which makes me sad.
I'm looking it up
Okay,
because
but-
now it's going to live in my brain. When we first met.
Okay, but otherwise, what I'd say is, I mention all the history of it because we have such a spectrum of tones and genres at this point. You know, everything from thrillers to mysteries to romantic comedies to straight romances, and I think the thing about this is it brings me to sometimes the problem I have with romance and comedy romance, in the sense that I feel like it uses the time loop conceit for some shortcuts in pushing a relationship forward. And I kind of want the opportunity to talk about that. And this in particular, I think, feels a little more frustrated than even something like Before We Fall, which falls into a little bit of a similar issue, in part because I kind of think this is missing an act. So I found this fun and, kind of sweet, and I like the cast, but I just didn't quite think that the material matched the cast.
Interesting. I really love this movie. Love might be a strong word. I don't know. It's hard to know how I'm responding to certain things nowadays. I know that in the course of watching this movie, which clocks in at a brisk and I think well suited 90 minutes, that I had a great time. I was laying on my couch. I was here at home. I had put my daughter to bed, and had some potato chips, and I watched Palm Springs, and afterwards I was like, that was really good. I got to tell people to watch this. There are aspects of it that I think are well done, and are things that I am shocked that I haven't really seen done in time loop movies before. We'll have to talk about it when we get to spoilers. It'll probably be the first thing we talk about, because it's necessary to talk about the rest of the movie. I like Andy Samberg when I like Andy Samberg, and when I don't like Andy Samberg, I hate Andy Samberg.
Is it because of him or the material?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Like, I hated Hot Rod.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this. And I like him episode to episode in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I would say, like, it's an 80% hit ratio, so, like, that's good for him. And I liked all the Lonely Island sketches, so that's interesting. I like when I kind of like when he's a high-status character who acts like a low-status character, and whenever he's made actually low-status, I feel like I don't believe it. I think because of him and the way that he is. I think that despite his goofiness, he has an inherent charming charisma that if he tries to deny it, it just doesn't come off well. It's like false humility or something. I love Kristen Milotti from 30 Rock and How I Met Your Mother. The last season of How I Met Your Mother is a strange beast, and I think that what is good about it primarily comes from her.
Yeah.
There's particularly an episode that is purely focused on her that I think is one of the best that the show produced. Clearly one of these days when I don't know, when the next pandemic hits and I'm stuck at home and have nothing else to do, I'll just have to do like a whole How I Met Your Mother rewatch plus podcast to go through it all. Because I have
to. Will you have to?
Well, first we got to do our OC podcast, Michael.
I'm still good for that, Brad.
Okay, great.
I don't think you understand.
It's on HBO Max, right?
It's on HBO Max. It's on... Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, that's another reason to get HBO Max. I guess. Yeah, and then just, you've got great people in this. Tyra Hoechlin's in it. You got Peter Gallagher, J.K. Simmons. Peter Gallagher, talking about the OC.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
That's right.
It is ordained. It must happen. But yeah, so I really like all the characters and the actors who play them. I thought that the movie was quite charming and funny and, you know, clever, and it keeps twisting, but not in ways that are too absurd to handle. There was one moment when I was like, are we just never going to discuss that again? And I was so happy when a character brought it up towards the end, so that was good. But generally, I think this movie made me think of The One I Love. Which is which is a great film with Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss. What was that? Charlie McDowell.
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, there part of me was like, is it just because it's like a lone California estate with a pool and two people, and it's kind of weird and sci-fi-y. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about that like isolated sci-fi conceit that helps people come to understand one another better, that I really like. And as I like that movie, so do I like this movie. And I think that anyone that I know would be well served at least attempting to watch this, and then, you know, turn it off if you don't like it. But I can't think of anyone in my life who I would say overtly should not see this movie and would not like it.
Would you recommend this to your mom?
I think so. I think she would get a kick out of it. My mother surprises me. Okay, so like that's the thing. It's like, you know, would you recommend it to your mom? Oh, I don't know. Like, you know, if it's not It's a Wonderful Life or Casablanca, you know, something black and white. Like, I remember, if you recall, Michael, I saw in theaters Wolf of Wall Street with my mother, and she loved it. So, who's to say what she's gonna really enjoy or not?
To be fair, I had this very recently when my mom said that she really loved Roadhouse, but also the last thing that she recommended was some movie with Rob Lowe and elephants.
Oh, the Netflix elephant Christmas movie?
Holiday in the Wilds. Yep. So my mom, I don't have a sense. She also likes period pieces. Thought Little Women was tremendously boring, but also really liked Trumbo. Trumbo? Yeah, Trumbo.
Yeah, with Bryan Cranston.
Oh my God.
Well, that's like so.
No, Andy, I was confused too.
So ever
Trumbo, that's a name I haven't heard in an age.
Just you with your Ben Kenobi 1,000-yard stare. He's writing in a bathtub, man. That's all I know about that movie.
That's all you need to know. Oh,
Yeah.
The other thing you need to know is that the dude who directed Austin Powers made it. So.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that is definitely a thing.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Yeah, like one of my favorite things about screener season now is watching insane movies with my parents while I'm there for Christmas break and getting to clock their reaction to them. So, like, my mother hated The Favorite with a fury that I've never seen before. She said the director should be put to death.
Your mother and I would get along very well.
I was like,
Wow.
you want to summarily execute
Mother.
Yorgos Lanthimos? Like, if
At
it
the
was
very least, I think he should be tried before the Hague. But well, you know,
if it was,
I mean,
if it-
Killing of Sacred Deer is really bad.
right, if it was
We will
Killing of
agree.
the Sacred Deer, I could get it. But The Favorite I thought was really good. And then she loved 1917, but she
Okay.
hated Little Women. So I don't know.
okay, maybe your mom and I wouldn't get along so well, but
This is it. This is what I'm saying. You can't pin her down. You think you got her figured out, and then she jukes.
then she zigs. She zigs when you expect her to zag.
Yeah.
What was her Roadhouse equivalent?
What was her Roadhouse equivalent? I don't know, because the other great thing about her is she's that particular type of woman who enjoys movies but doesn't care about them so much that she'll say, I'll say, Ma, did you ever see, like, Face Off? And she said, if I did, it was so long ago I can't remember, and I could watch it again, and it would be new to me. So, like, I don't think that she would retain anything that would let her know that. I think she likes Top Gun, but everybody loves Top Gun.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's like saying people. You know, she enjoys Oxygen.
Right, she's an American.
just-
She likes Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Americana.
She likes the smell of a
Yeah,
grill on the
basically.
4th of July.
Precisely.
Yeah. So yeah, how did we get on this? Oh yeah, Michael asked if I would recommend this
me.
movie to my mother. Yeah, my favorite, just another, I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but like my favorite thing my mother ever did movie related was, again, during that Wolf of Wall Street screening when I was laughing at something and she turned to me and said, I know why I'm laughing, why are you laughing?
So watching Wolf of Wall Street with my mother is maybe my idea of hell. So I will never do that. And I watched Dogma with my 97-year-old grandmother, who I was just talking about.
Who hated the coronavirus to death.
She hated it right out of her body. She wasn't 97 when we watched Dogma, of course, but that was the most awkward viewing experience I've ever had. So I'll skip Wolf of Wall Street with my mom.
I said, Ma, I'm going to go see Wolf of Wall Street. And she said, oh, I want to see that. And I looked at her and said, are you sure? And she said, Brian, I grew up in the 70s. And I was like, okay. I think she even said, I liked Scorsese when he was on cocaine.
So
okay,
anyway. Your mom rules.
Yeah, she's that particular kinds of Queens, New York Italian that you're just like, all right, man, let's just do this.
My brain is broken, and when you said Dogma, I thought you said Dogville.
That would have been less awkward.
That's the kind of movie I feel like if I watched that movie with my mother, she would have hated it up until the point, and I guess spoilers for Dogville, she would have hated it to the point that the men with Tommy guns murdered the town. She at that point definitely would have said, good, they deserve it. And then she would have said that Lars von Trier should be put to death. She hated La La Land too, so I don't know what you feel about that movie, Crump. But
which movie?
I think it was La La Land.
Oh, I didn't like La La Land at all.
She said it was a movie that was trying to be a movie. I was like, that is the most
pretty much it.
Trenchant piece of criticism I've ever heard.
That's like
another latter-day Lars von Trier.
There you go.
Oh man. Anyway, we've clearly gotten off topic, which is not something that we ever do.
That's called we're recording a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else that we want to say about this in the non-spoiler section?
Eclectic soundtrack that I did not expect.
It's hard to talk about this movie without spoilers.
Yeah,
so I've said my piece.
Yeah, it's good. It's free if you got Hulu, and you should watch it. There you go. So let's talk about.
And it's most of all, it's 90 minutes.
It is 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's the magic word.
Though I will say, Michael Snydell, your mother recommended Holiday in the Wild. That's only an hour and 25 minutes. So.
Oh, she's got us beat. Oh no.
And it stars Kristen Davis and Rob Lowe. So for anyone who's a fan of Parks and Rec or Sex and the City, like maybe this is going to make a decision for you.
Oh, legitimately, I will probably watch that because it looks cute. But it was just a hilarious spectrum.
Mother of God. All right. So let's just okay. Let's just go and talk about spoilers for Palm Springs, starting right now. So. Did anyone suspect immediately that Andy Samberg's character, whose name is Niles, was already in the loop when we first meet him?
Yes.
Like, how soon did you expect that?
It started really... Honestly, it started when Andy Samberg finishes fucking Meredith Hagner. Just the way, like the sheer like weight that he puts behind telling her, like talking about how old he is, just sounded suspicious to me. And then, of course, when he gets on the dance floor and is perfectly ducking and weaving around everybody, I think that's when it's like indisputable that he is already in the time loop.
Yeah, I picked up on it on the dance floor thing. I was like, oh, this dude's already in the loop.
Yep.
He's in the loop.
And I love that invention. And I guess maybe an invention is a strong way to describe it, but most of these movies were with the people right before they get caught in the time loop.
Exactly.
And it's really nice. And I guess technically the movie doesn't totally like get away from that because, Sarah, played by Kristen Milioti, is the character who is going to get caught in the time loop. But it's nice that it starts off with the time loop already in process. I think that's a nifty little. I don't want to call it a twist because I think that's really stupid, but it's a nice change. It's a nice like shift in how these movies normally are structured.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that Groundhog Day in its initial conception was supposed to start with him already in the time loop. And so to me it was nice to see a movie finally deliver on that. And I'm sure someone will tweet at me with an example of a movie that I haven't heard where it happens. But I mean, it was nice to see that like you think you know this character and that he's just like, you know, this guy who's like, oh, he's so bored with his super hot girlfriend and all this stuff. And then you realize like maybe that's the product of him having been living this single day for, and I love the fact that he has no idea how long he's been doing it, but it is long enough that he no longer remembers most of the details about his actual life.
His job, for instance.
It's a million times. That's what the banner, the birthday banner that Sarah drops for him says, "Happy millionth birthday, dipshit." Like,
yeah. Oh man.
I think too, like when you think about like the precipitating, or not conflict, but the thing that kind of starts a lot of these time loop movies. You know, it's usually an accident. It's someone literally accidentally getting into a time machine. You know, like it really does, you know, prepare you. And I think what is especially unique about not only the fact that we start here is it gets you into the rhythm immediately. Like this movie is almost a lazy river in the sense of, you know what? I say this as I'm looking at the top banner, so I'm gonna amend that statement. But this movie has such an immediate. It has such an immediate rhythm in, you know, with Sandberg drinking the beer, handing it to someone else. And it is like, you know, Sandberg is also convincing enough that I could believe that he could juke and do a choreographed dance without him being in a time loop.
Yeah, because you just think like, oh, this guy, like, it's an interesting way to show just how much control he has now, like how godlike he is. Because for the first bit of the movie, you're like, this guy's a fucking wreck. And then does the speech and he's on the dance floor and you're like, man, this guy can turn it on and off. Like, I can't pin this dude down. And then you're like, oh my God, he's already in the time loop.
He's just like your mom. You can't pin him down.
Exactly. Maybe my mom is in a time loop. That would actually make a lot of things make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, and then I do like the fact that, you know, even though we now have this primary character who knows everything that's going on, is fully acquainted with everything, and can be kind of lackadaisical about it, because it's almost like the superhero origin story thing, where you're like, how many times do I have to watch fucking Peter Parker figure out that he can climb a wall? And so you're kind of happy when the Avengers just is like, yeah, I don't know, he's been it for a couple months, he's pretty good, it's fine. As much as I appreciate that, it is nice to have Kristen Milioti not realize what the hell's going on, go and talk to him. And I love his laconic kind of, it's one of those infinite time loop scenarios that you may have heard of. Like, he's just totally on board with it by now. And part of that is because he's been in it for forever, and he feels sort of bad, and he also already had to do this with one other person, who is J.K. Simmons as Roy.
Oh, J.K. Simmons.
I think the moment when I was like, this movie has gone from like good to very good, or like now I am fully engaged, is when he gets shot with an arrow and is just like pissed off about it, and he starts screaming for Roy. He's like, I know, I smelled your cigar. And then he gets shot again and he says, you're a sick fuck, Roy. And I'm just like, whoa, there's so much happening already that I have no idea about, and I am on board for all of it.
Yeah, I love that's a great escalating comic scene. Like,
yeah.
Roy's introduction. Just how much insanity can this movie pile upon this poor very drunk woman who has no idea what she's wandered into. I love his continued presence throughout the movie. I think he's actually, I think Milioti and Sandberg are both really good in this, in terms of the comedy, but also in terms of the dramatics. But I really think that the ballast of this movie is J.K. Simmons' performance, especially his big moment with Sandberg about an hour into the movie. That really gives the movie some weight that I think it would be completely lacking otherwise.
Yeah, that whole scene in the backyard when he like talks about the growth that he's finally gone through and the hatred he's given away, and he's like, "Look at my kid. He's watering dog shit. It's beautiful."
I very much agree with you, guys. I don't know how much to push back yet. I don't want to ruin the fun with my caustic sunshine. But what I would say is I very much agree. I think that J.K. Simmons scene in the backyard is probably the best scene in the movie. But I think that thematically that does tie together Roy's, kind of most dangerous game thing with Niall's character. But I think that in itself is also, it shows me kind of, here's what this film could have been. And I think that scene in particular, I think you guys are right that it is like an emotional crux, but I think it also shows how separated Sarah and Niall's arc is, to the point where I think she gets underserved. I think, I rhetorically like the idea, or excuse me, hypothetically like the idea that Sarah literally starts escaping every morning, that she potentially died, that she's potentially gone. But I think that she's almost gone too long. And then to make that arc specifically about her learning quantum physics felt to me like the movie had written itself into a corner and was more interested in Niall's arc. And like, I'm happy to pick that apart, but that was something after really like when I woke up today, I was like, oh, that movie's fun, and then I was like, okay, I got to talk about this tonight. And the more and more I thought about those arcs, I felt that they were they were uneven, and I'm curious what you guys would say to that.
I don't totally disagree that they're uneven. I think Niles obviously has the juicier arc, or the bigger. We'll just say bigger. It's not necessarily juicier, but in terms of quantity, there is more of it. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. It does incline the movie more toward convention, where the function of the movie is to lead this young man. I don't actually know how old Andy Samberg is, or how old Niles is really supposed to be, because he complains about being old, but he's not as old as June Squibb, so I'll call him young. The function of the movie is to lead this guy, this slacker who has kind of given up on moving forward. It's about getting him to move forward again, which we've seen that kind of movie before. It's a whole genre unto itself, even within this particular niche. But and I guess you could also say that the kid, like, there's convention in terms of Sarah as well, because she's not an idiot, and she wants to escape, and she has a goal, and she's like underserved in the sense that she doesn't get to live the lifetimes that Niles lives. And then also she's the one who is just kind of by default pushed into the role of being the person who fixes this existential fuck up that they're both caught in. That said, it didn't bother me too much that like that dynamic didn't bother me too much. I think that the performances are really key to that. I think Milioti brings a lot to the comparatively little that she has, and makes Sarah into somebody who's, you know, who's fleshed out and who we can really understand and engage with. And it's not like she has her life together either. Like
Sure.
she's clearly trying to not just get out of the loop, because who wants to live the same day over and over again? She wants to get out of the loop because getting out of the loop means getting away from her own shit.
Yeah, her own mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Milioti is able to convey a lot of that, honestly, through her eyeballs. She has really, really, like, again, like, just size wise, they're massive, but they're also extremely expressive. Like, she has very big eyes, very like articulate eyes. There's a lot that she's able to communicate through them that I don't know. I don't think a lot of people have that kind of that like gift. I think that's a very difficult thing to do. But she's able to paint a full character that might, someone else in that role might not have been able to do quite what she does in terms of fleshing this person out. And I think that's where the discrepancy is made up.
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm just going back to the concept of like the big arc versus the juicy arc. I think that she has a smaller arc because she has to go from one extreme to another, whereas Andy Samberg's character of Niles is like a picture of inertia. And so he's the kind of guy who's totally happy to be in a shitty situation as long as he doesn't have to do anything. And Sarah, on the other hand, is constantly waking up in this mistake and is unable to live with it because I think deep down she's a better person than he is and isn't willing to let herself fall into this, like, existential traction that he's willing to put himself in. And so it made total sense to me that she would do what he wouldn't do, which is stop fucking around and actually attempt to do something to better her situation, and then to like kind of pull him along with her. And so the concept of her going to this diner day in and day out and learning quantum physics, which I don't even know how long that must have taken her. I assume a while. It's frankly insane, but it's a thing that I love about these time loop movies is that you can do something like that because you don't have to worry about like, oh, well, we got to put some aging up makeup on the characters. We got to change anything. It's like, no, she's going to look exactly the same. And we could say it's been 17 years and she's now a quantum physics expert. And it also means that his slow discovery of his own feelings and what that means about himself isn't rushed, because however long it took her to learn quantum physics enough to then be like, make her little experiment and prove it to herself, like, it worked. And he might have had like 4 years to sit on this and like really think about himself and her and everything that happened. So, is it a shortcut that the movie takes? Yeah, but like movies are shortcuts. That's why montages exist. Like this is cinema on a basic syntactical level. So I have no issues with that. I really liked it.
I think there's a few things I think to consider in response to you and Andy about this. I mean, I think one is that I really didn't find the conflict with Abe nearly as resonating as the film seemed to want me it to be. And obviously the dynamic is, it's an awful situation that she slept with, her sister's fiance. Mm. But I still think that she is the one who brings that through rather than the story. I think Andy's totally right about the eyes, because I think that there are a few scenes that she brings a really just heavy melancholy to. Like, I think about the scene where they get arrested.
Yeah.
Which is this, like, again, kind of a peek at a little more interesting movie to me. In a way, I almost think this movie is too soft on them. Like in the beginning, at least, the sense of humor, whether you're talking about how acerbic Sarah is, the wonderful bartender. Like some of this, like, pitch black comedy reminded me of something like You're the Worst at the Best, which is like, that is a movie where, I suppose in the same way of something like It's Always Sunny, that category, these people are assholes and they're surrounded by assholes. or people who have been brought into that orbit and can't get out. Yeah. And I think that I almost wish this movie went there more, because I think that there are thematically interesting things within this conceit. Whether you're talking about realizing the heaviness of something like Sandberg as has hooked up with Sarah millions of times, whether you're talking about the fact that pain is real. When they get into that accident, I thought that was an interesting scene, but I think that ultimately it takes the path of least resistance in isolating the two. And so by the time we're supposed to feel his deep loneliness, it's right around the time the Roy scene happens. So I don't think it's necessarily just a matter of, this is archetypal, or not archetypal, but like fundamental storytelling. I think that this movie spends too much time, almost fucking around appropriately.
But I mean, that's fun. Like, have we lost the sight of that things can be fun? I don't know. Like, I really liked the fucking around. Like but
it's also kind of this like frat boy humor. The fact that his current girlfriend Misty, who that's Meredith Hagner, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Meredith Hagner. Like the fact that she's he sees that she cheats on him. The fact that like. It's just, I feel like a lot of these characters are kind of a certain comedic props that distracts from the possible weight that they actually like bring up. As you're saying, I don't need this to be less of a comedy, but I don't see those two aspects like coalescing.
Well, is she any more of a comedic prop than like Ned Ryerson?
Okay, why is that name familiar to me?
From Groundhog Day. Needle Nose Ned, Ned the Head.
Okay.
Like if you got a person and you're there for one day and they're going to repeat the same stuff over and over again, especially if the movie kind of takes us through the lens of Andy Samberg's character, Niles, I mean, like, yeah, everyone's going to become a comedic prop because they're just someone doing the same shit over and over again. And pretty soon they're going to appear as though they have no actual agency. Like, I'm curious if he ever tried to, like, if there was ever a moment when he was like, maybe I should try to keep her from doing that, and then realized that he actually didn't care about her and was just willing to let it happen. Like, he doesn't appear hurt. He seems bored. And there's a point when he says, like, you don't like me. And she says, I know, but people still don't break up with me. And that's, like, again, that inertia. Like, these people would be stuck in loops even if they weren't stuck in a literal time loop just because of their lack of desire to better themselves. And so in that way, Kristen Miliotti's character of Sarah, who people constantly say is like a fuck up and a loser and an alcoholic, is the one person who's willing to like see her patterns and actually try to better herself. And she is able to get away because she's not willing to just live in the pattern and pretend to be better than she is. Like, she's willing to put in work.
But the thing I would say about Ned Tobolowsky is, that's who we're talking about, correct? Tobolowsky? Yes. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Tobolowsky is that, like, he's not a glib caricature. I think that people like Missy, I think some of the people at the wedding, I think that those things, like, it almost, like, it had a whiff of, like, frat boy humor trying to be more woke to me, and it felt... it just kind of reminded me that I don't feel like I know these characters very well beyond that basic conceit of Sandberg, being a point of inertia and Milioti realizing that she needs to get out of that. I still don't feel like I know any of those characters very well. I think that the performances animate those characters, but I still, I don't know. I almost wish I was like, I feel like the way, maybe this is my general problem with time loop movies, because I have this a lot. Like, I thought the third act of Edge of Tomorrow, for instance, was very frustrating. Before we fall, or before I fall, I mentioned earlier, Happy Death Day, I think does some weird stuff. Maybe this is just a general problem that I have with this elliptical structure and the need to just end it at a certain point. But again, I think it's little moments that I found more weighty peeking through that ultimately made me feel like, oh, I wish this wasn't quite so slight at the end, even if it was fun.
Well, I think there are a lot of demands that I don't know. It feels like there are some demands being put on the movie that it can't meet. You might be wishing for another kind of movie that this movie just has no aspiration of being. Like, everybody in this movie who is not Andy Samberg or Kristen Milioti is just going to look like a cardboard cutout in terms of how substantial they are, because they're on the outside of this scenario that Andy Samberg. Why do I keep calling them by the actors' names?
I don't know. I keep doing it too.
It's okay.
Yeah, because they're our friends. We like Andy and Kristen. No, they're on the outside of this time bubble that Niles and Sarah are stuck in. So they have no opportunity to be anything more than whoever they were going to be on that day, and whoever they were on that day that they're now reliving over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's like I said, like they're automatons. They got to do the same thing, and the only way that you see them in a new dynamic light is however they react to the chaos that is caused by these free radicals pinging around destroying shit.
Right. Like we understand them only through how Niles engages with them. Like, we only know anything about the one black guy in this movie because we learned that Andy Samberg had sex with him. Like, on the subject of this movie trying to be woke, that is not a woke joke. It's hilarious.
No.
It's hilarious that this guy gets so bored. He tries to, why not try and bang a dude. Like,
you only live once 100,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. I think what the movie does with those few moments, and I agree that this is not like a huge move, a hugely substantial movie. I think that it kind of peppers in the substance where it really needs to keep all the other elements that it really cares about, threaded together appropriately. But I think those moments are really enough to make the movie work the way that it wants to work. I mean, it feels like if we want a movie that really considers everybody in a semi-ensemble cast, we might not be talking about a 90-minute Lonely Island comedy. We might be talking about something a little bit weightier, not necessarily not funny, but something that maybe is 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And doesn't operate the way that anything that the Lonely Island does.
Right. It's
operates.
To me, Michael, it almost is like, I don't know, John Wick shoots that guy in the head, but what are that guy's hopes and dreams? Like, what did he have for breakfast? Like, that's not his job in this movie. That his job is to do exactly what we expect him to do, which is to die by Keanu Reeves' hand. And the people in this movie, their job is to respond with shock and horror, and then like some kind of complacency when Andy Samberg rips a bomb out of a wedding cake and then shoots it with a crossbow into the sky before fighting Sarah as she's using a weird French accent with a hook for a hand. Like, I don't know.
Maybe I'm implying something too far then, but are you suggesting that my frustration with the slightness is in bad faith?
I don't know if it's in bad faith. I think it's misdirected. It just feels like, why would you expect that from this movie? Like, why would you want that from this movie? And like, that's not what. I don't think the movie's failing at trying to give you something. I think the movie is doing precisely what it wants to do, which if you don't like it, is fine. But like, there's no part of my mind that at some point I was like, I really wish they'd flesh out Abe some more. You know, I really wish that like Misty would get a speech explaining something. I don't like it. Just I you know, in seeing a movie like this at this level, with this kind of cast and this kind of conceit, I was just like, yeah, this is the Niles and Sarah show, and everyone in the background is Mayor Quimby and Mo Sizlak.
I wouldn't say that
Andy,
you're like I don't want to say that you're arguing in bad faith or that you're doing anything in bad faith. I think you know, I mean, I can't really say I can't like really speak for you, and yet that's almost very close to what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. just to just to clarify, I don't think that you're like, you know, making any kind of bad faith argument about the movie at all. And like, to some extent, yes, I do understand the critique. It's just, to me, it's just not what this movie really wants to be doing. Like, it maybe there's like another time loop movie like this that will someday happen, that will achieve those things, but that's going to be because it like sets out to do that and is structured in a way to allow that to happen. This is really just trying to be the Lonely Island's update on Groundhog Day, and I think like the minor. I keep going back to the word invention and then complaining that I'm using the word invention, but I'll say invention. Like the idea of paradise in Palm Springs becoming hell, to me, is very fascinating when you go back to Groundhog Day, like the blueprint for these kinds of movies. Because what day is Bill Murray reliving over and over again? Where is he reliving it? Like, it sounds miserable, like, from the outset. Whereas this, like, the idea that beautiful Palm Springs could become like a prison, and floating on a pizza slice inflatable thing in the pool could be punishment. To me, that says a lot of interesting things, or at least it's an interesting way to set up this story that's been done.
Right, because Bill Murray's in a cold hellscape where he has to work with people that he doesn't particularly like, and Andy Samberg's in a place that is encouraging him to relax and get drunk, and like he still finds a way to like hate it. It's that to me is the ultimate like punishment. Yeah, it's like when Bill Murray's character Phil says, you know, I once went to the Bahamas, I drank, you know, pina coladas, I met a woman, we made love like sea otters. Like, that was a good day, why couldn't I get that day to repeat over and over again? That's what Andy Samberg's getting, and he fucking hates it now. He once did crystal meth and wound up in Equatorial Guinea trying to get away. Like, if that had worked, his life would have been ruined. But it didn't matter, because all he needed to do was get away from this beautiful day with all of these people at this wedding.
That is a good point. That is probably something that does separate it. You know, if we're speaking of other elements that separate it from your average time loop, you know, it's not a terrible day that they keep reliving.
Right, because Happy Death Day, Before I Fall, I think Daybreak, these are all movies where it's like, on the day their life fell apart, on the day their wife was murdered and they were killed. You know, he only has 24 hours to discover the mystery of his own murder. Wow, I nearly...
Source code, yeah.
Yeah, like fucking live and let die? No, live, die, repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
They're all right.
/ All You Need Is Kill. Yeah, I mean, like, it's this guy...
Much better title, too,
yes,
by the way.
I agree.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's like the best part about this is, like, as we said, his laconic, don't give a shit attitude, which, you know, we learn comes from having lived this day a million times, at first it appears like, oh, this guy's just a guy who's drunk on vacation. But he's not. And I also, just because I, for whatever reason, thought about it, I love the detail that Roy lives in Irvine, and that's why he doesn't come all the time, because it's a long drive. It's not like, oh, Roy, sometimes like other stuff happens. It's like, yeah, sometimes he just doesn't feel like making the drive. And then that's paid off when Andy Samberg Niles goes and sees him and says, like, can you kill me one last time to save me the commute?
Yeah. Killer. Awesome joke.
This is a really good joke. And he shoots him in the recycling bin.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Would that be an instant death?
I would, it's if an arrow punctures your heart, maybe not instant, but close enough.
You'd wind down.
Get pretty good at it.
You would wind down faster from an arrow to the heart than my daughter wound down for bed tonight. So that sounded really morbid. Let's cut that. Anyways.
Look, my daughter has been doing this thing. She's finding newer and more conniving ways to keep from having to go to bed. So like, it used to be like, I need this one specific toy. And then she realized that I would say, you lay down, I'll go look for it. And then I would just wait until she fell asleep. Unless it was her Rainbow Cat, because I knew she actually cared about Rainbow Cat. But if she was like, I need my mouse, and I'm like, you don't like that mouse. You just know that I don't know where that mouse is. So, but now she's started to do this thing where she's like, I want hugs and kisses, and I can't give her enough for her to be satisfied. So that's
you never will be able to.
Right.
This is existentially terrifying.
Right. So she's like, I need more. And I'm like, I can't give you more. She's like, Daddy, I need more hugs and kisses. And I'm like, oh my God, like Jesus, like what kind of a monster am I? It's like, all right, fine. You can have like 3 more. And then one night she said, I need you to love me. And I was like, what are you doing to my heart, you monster?
Counting hugs. Jeez. Father of the year here.
If I didn't do it, it would never stop. I like, you got to put your foot down somewhere. I'm Irish. I shouldn't be giving hugs and kisses at all.
She's changing you already, man.
I know. It's I don't know. I was trying to think of something sappy to say, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, you know what? I was trying to find something sappy to add to this, but that was the best that I got. So sorry.
My life changed the day I became a father. The day I went from a me to a we or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, I know. We'll just let that one. Yeah. Now we're stuck in a dad talk loop forever.
No,
we need to blow up a goat to stop it.
Well, that was an interesting part of this movie is when Roy says, "I'm never going to see my little girl like grow up and walk down the aisle." Because, like, yeah, most parents are like, oh, they grow up so fast, like, blah, 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 I wish they could stay this way forever. But, like, yeah, the joy of being a parent, in my mind anyway, is being able to see the ways in which my daughter is growing through my direction. So, like, when someone showed up at the distillery one day and my daughter was able to fully explain to her how the boiler works.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It was this woman showed up and said, like, I've never been to a distillery before. And my daughter pointed at the boiler, said, that heats up the water. It goes through that pipe and it goes to the still and heats it. And then the I can't remember. I think she said the water comes out there and pointed to the parrot where the whiskey came out. And the woman was just like, wow, your daughter more know about distilling than I do. I was like, yep. she's well versed. This is her job.
I know who's inheriting the family business one day.
Exactly.
Oh. Doing you proud already.
I think that the movie does a lot of good in looking at things like that and really kind of leaning into it. And I love the fact that like his sphere of knowledge encompasses even that shitty dive bar that's like a couple miles away.
Yeah.
Like, he points at Darla and says, like, we're playing darts. And she's like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, good to see Dale Dickey. And I mean, not a super different role, but it's always good to see Dale Dickey.
Yeah, I love Dale Dickey. You could assume that maybe she's playing an earlier or a later version of her character from Leave No Trace.
Ooh, yeah. I like the connection.
I like the fact that
It
he
works.
also. I also think this movie, like, I enjoy the use of the cutaways. I know that like cutaways have become a very easy shorthand comedy thing between like 30 Rock and How I Met Your Mother and everything, but I really quite enjoyed them in this movie just because it's like usually a time loop movie you live in a montage, and so just being able to have like brief flashbacks felt like a good invention. Even though I will now say that I'm on Crump's side, I don't think that invention is the right word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's
A little twist,
I
but
will
like not a narrative twist, like a
Construction.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll figure it out once we're done with the podcast, and then I'll just
we'll
say,
tweet a correction.
"Shit, God damn it!"
But
That
yeah, like
word.
so her asking who he hooked up with, and then you see him with Dale Dickey, and you see him with I think Jerry. Jerry's his name.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gallagher or Howard.
No, so the funniest
Oh.
part was when he talks about like having sex with her father.
That's
And then he's
that-
like, I'm lying.
Yeah, he's like
that might.
Peter Gallagher's acting in that 5-second scene is incredible.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
That's maybe one of that might be like in my top 5 Peter Gallagher moments, like all time. and Peter Gallagher has amazing moments
Yes.
in everything. So yeah, that. Well, there were those cutaways. There's like the cutaway to Jared getting it all in there when he and Niles have sex, and then
Yeah.
there's the cutaway to the fake, like the fake out with Howard, and then there's also the cutaway to like Roy burning Niles alive in a swimming pool.
Yes.
So like there's
He dives
that.
in the swimming pool. He's like, "What's that smell?" Because I guess he's filled it with gasoline or something.
Yep.
It's so crazy. And getting like electrocuted and waterboarded.
Yep. Just the torture and murder montage was a really good use of cutaway because I didn't really need like any more than we got for each instance of Niles dying. And I just realized that I spelled Niles name wrong in my review entirely.
Okay, so
From
this
start-
this is crazy. I for whatever reason, like I don't know if it's because I was trying to listen to the TV really low one night while Cora was sleeping, or if like the air conditioner was on or something, or if like the fireworks were going on. But I one day turned captions on my TV, and I have not turned them off in like a month and a half. And so everything I watch just has subtitles now. So I saw Niles with a Y, and I was like, "That's weird.
What?
Why is it with a Y? Like I've seen Frasier. I know how Niles is spelled."
Yeah. So now I feel. You know what? No, I don't feel stupid. Palm Springs was wrong. I'm right.
This stupid millennial with his dumb name. Oh,
You don't
another
spell Niles with a Y. You spell it with an I. Jackass.
right. It's like Brian. Like you don't spell Brian with a Y.
Oh God.
Though idiots would have you think differently.
He would have extra refinement if it was Niles. And I'm not just saying that from Fraser. Just like Niles with the Y, it's
Yeah,
a
he
little
was set up
more-
from
it's
birth for
approachable.
failure. Yeah,
Ugh.
just like Brian's with a Y.
Niles with an I would not have gotten trapped in a time loop, and Niles with a Y, totally. That's such a Niles with a Y thing to do.
That
Get
is
stuck in
such
a
a
time
Niles with a Y thing to do. I love also that he apparently one time got a hand job from the bartender, and she admitted to hitting a hitchhiker with her car, which is just. And then you see her like maybe 2 other times during the movie, and it's just like her deadpan,
That's great.
like dead eyes, can't be bothered about anything. You're suddenly like, oh right, yeah, that is the type of person who has a dark secret in their past.
I forgot the line, but it's something like, "Yes, you are right. You do bore me."
See, that's exactly it. There are just so many good, like, it's so unfair of me to like repeatedly describe this as a Lonely Island movie because they did not write this unless Andy Ciara is like and Lonely Island adjacent, and I just don't know this. But like everything about the comedy here just so perfectly suits what that troupe does. Like this is a filter for them to do their thing, but there are so many good, just like cutting lines, and they just snap off. Like there's no like like the movie isn't like ponderous or deliberate about it. It just it has, it's like it times these things so well that you like might pause, like not just figuratively but literally, so you can consider like did I just hear that, like did they just say that, and it's, I don't know, whatever shortcomings this movie might have for some people, like as a story, it is like, I think it is a very successful comedy in the sense that it's really funny. And I think that if a comedy can just be funny, that's probably the most important thing for the comedy to do. Because like if the comedy isn't funny, what the fuck's the point?
Right, and I have a lot of trouble with that recently. I feel like a lot of comedies like will hit this point where they're like, and now we're a drama for 20 minutes, and I'm just like, but why?
You know, Band-Aid did that like back in, oh gosh, when was that? Oh, about 15 years ago, I think. Now I can't remember.
Adam Paley.
Yeah, like that movie becomes like a straight up drama in like the last half hour. Like everything about it that was fun just sort of stops, and it's like, well, someone throw a fucking pie or something. Like
I feel like Judd Apatow movies do that a lot, and it was like, ooh, transgressive, like, you know. But no, I just want to laugh. God damn it, please.
And it's not right. It's not that comedies can't be serious in their own way, but like, don't be self-serious. That's the worst kind of serious.
Right. Well, like I bring up, I don't know if I bring it up a lot. I know I've brought it up recently. Superbad was fucking hilarious the whole way through, but it still manages to deliver this super tender, moving moment between these two boys when they finally like break down and tell each other that they're gonna miss one another in college and they don't know what they're doing, and that like they love each other. You know, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
Like it's still a comedic scene, but they're being funny while talking about this very real feeling that they have. And I just don't like it when a movie's like, and now for, 15 to 20 minutes, the score is going to go into a minor key, and everyone's going to be sad, and there might be like one visual gag, but other than that, we're sort of done with that.
That's how like The King of Staten Island went.
Again, Judd Apatow.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it's just, well, and maybe that's the movie to bring up in conjunction with this, because like these are the two major comedies that I can think of that have been released this season so far. Yeah. So like, yeah, everyone, I don't know, I forget what I was gonna say. Scratch that from the record. Like the movie is like successful as a comedy, and I guess on the strength of that alone, I'd recommend it.
Right. It's funny, and it's just lucky that it also has other things on its mind, and you can dig deeper into like the character motivations of at least these two characters. I will say that I have now looked up Andy Ciara, and he is a staff writer on The Lodge. Or no, Lodge 49.
Lodge 49?
Yeah.
Lodge 49
which
is great.
Makes all the sense in the world now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, but I love Lodge 49, so he let me down.
Well, he didn't have first of all, he's just a staff writer. But second of all, he's got a whole series to help build out those kooky characters in that lodge. Not 90 minutes. Yeah, we should once again, this is a 90-minute movie. It's a 90-minute comedy.
Okay. That doesn't make it better. You know what?
No, I'm not saying that to rebuff anything that you've said. I just want to tell people out there that a 90-minute movie exists, and that you should be happy about that.
And like we all agree that like 80-minute movies and 90-minute movies, movies should either be that long or they should be like 2.5 hours long, and really anything in between can fuck right off.
Yeah,
except for King of Staten Island. That movie should have been 80 minutes long.
1:30 is the worst time limit for any movie. 2 hours and 10 minutes is guaranteed to be way long.
Yeah, it's like you could definitely do a little bit of trimming, you son of a bitch. There was the Scott Weinberg on Twitter the other night was like talking about that. Just like, oh, Palm Springs is 90 minutes. Like, can we talk about how great the 90-minute movie is? And he asked people to send in, between Palm Springs and Greyhound, I say, welcome back to the damn good 90-minute movie. And then he said, name other recent movies that clock in at under 100 minutes. Official running times do include the credits. And I, talked about Enemy, Crawl, Ready or Not, The Shallows. Like...
The Vast Night.
Yeah, The Vast Night. That was another. I didn't even think of that.
The Vast Night felt like it was. Let's agree. It felt like it was 10 hours long. But I squealed when I found out that Greyhound is only 90 minutes. Because that, like, you sell that movie to me on premise alone, I assume it's going to be like an hour and 45 to 2 hours, which, I'm not against that, but it is hard to sneak those longer runtimes in when you have a baby. So I really like the 90-minute movie or the super long movie, because then you can just break it up into a mini series.
Let me tell you about Out One.
There was one night after I put Cora to bed, and I was like, I want to watch a movie. What do I want to watch? Oh, I want to watch Blade Runner 2049. And then it's like midnight, and I'm like, why did I do this? What was I thinking?
I fell asleep watching Blade Runner 49. It was like for maybe 30 seconds. But it just knocked me. Granted, it was like a very, very late showing.
Yeah.
But it's also a thunderously boring movie. Unlike Palm Springs.
Disagree.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yes, Andy, you're welcome back.
Yes, come and talk with us about Dune, which I'm sure everyone will be very calm about.
No.
I want theaters to stay closed for the rest of the year just so I don't have to go see that movie.
Dune is one of those things where I'm like, I really like the movies of Denis Villeneuve, and I have such a black hole of negative interest in the property of Dune that I can't even get interested in it with that cast and that director. I'm just like, these guys could do, I don't know, The Lorax, and I'd be like, fuck yeah, The Lorax, best picture of the year. Because at least I sort of like The Lorax still. But I'm just like, Dune, the desert with the bugs and the spice, like, why do we keep trying to make this a thing?
Right, we did the sci-fi, miniseries was really good. Then there's the David Lynch movie, which is David Lynch. Like, the thing, you know what? I'd be more interested in seeing this cast and that director do The Lorax, because you're throwing me for a loop. That's a real curveball. Bring it on. But, talking about self-seriousness, there's like everything about the Dune, like, advertising just sound like it just strikes me.
It's just pictures so far, right? Have I missed something?
No, you haven't missed anything, but like there's a definite self-serious fart sniffing vibe that I get.
But that's Dune, right? Like
craft.
Isn't
sort of.
This is the thing. I don't know anything about Dune. Like it's not a pulp novel, right? It's like a weighty tome.
It is a weighty tome, but at the same time, there are also giant sandworms and spice melange and cool ass like weird space martial arts shit. It's been a long time since I've read this book or seen that miniseries, so I'm probably wrong. But anyways,
so I think that Charlotte Rampling should be the Onceler and Javier Bardem should be the Lorax. And Oscar Isaac should be a Barbaloot in its Barbaloot suit. And I think Jason Momoa should be a Swami Swan. And then Timothée Chalamet with his hair should be a truffle a tree.
How did you... you know what? Never mind.
How did I what?
Oh my god.
How did you just, like, rattle those off?
Do you forget that I have a 4-year-old?
Okay, all right.
Do you know how many times I've had to read The Lorax recently?
What is Dr. Seuss's equivalent of a tome?
Probably honestly, the butter battle.
Either that or the Sleep Book, which we have tried to read to our daughter, and she has not. We have not gotten through it with her because she just is not having it. She's like, "Fuck this! This is too long, and the pages are made of paper, and he won't let me touch them or put them in my mouth." No, no.
Cultural vegetables you're trying to give her.
We're, you know, don't. Okay, I don't think that my wife would listen to this podcast, but baby watched a big chunk of Tokyo Olympiad with me. So, yeah.
My daughter watched The Handmaiden with me.
That's weird.
I didn't know what it was about. I just knew it was a Korean film.
It was Park. Come on.
It was what? Oh, it was Park. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I did cover, like, okay, so it was 2016. So she was less than 1 year old. So, like, she didn't, like, sit and chill with me. It was more like I'm holding her and feeding her a bottle. And I'm just like, I really hope that she's not forming memories yet. And then I think, like, during the more intense sex scenes, I, like, turned her away from the TV. But, like, we watched Deadwood together. You know, there was a point before, like, 1.5 where I was like, she's probably fine.
You know, I can't judge too much because when our daughter was on her Billy blanket, because, you know, for her, she had some jaundice, so we had her on a Billy blanket. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like a tanning, like an open tanning bed that you put the baby on, and they have to stay on it for basically a whole day, so that they can have their, like, the jaundice blasted out of them by the thing. So, anyways. We were doing this in shifts, and on my shift, while baby slept on the Billy blanket peacefully, I watched The Nightingale. Bad idea for so many reasons, none of them having to do with her being conscious for it, because she was asleep. But yeah, I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, no, I did not watch The Nightingale with my daughter, who by that point would have been like, Daddy, what's happening?
Yes.
Like, I don't know how to explain this to you. So this is a funny
Daddy,
story.
what are Benway balls?
As we wrap up here, and we were talking about our children and media, I was sitting with Cora and I was like, "What do you want to watch?" She's like, "I don't know." And then she said that enough times where I was like, "Good, I'm choosing something." And I put on classic era Simpsons. And my ex happened to be here that day, and she's like, "Is this, like, appropriate for her?" And I was like, "This is a show about a nuclear family who go to church every Sunday, and every episode ends with them overcoming their issues by reaffirming their love for one another. I will never understand why The Simpsons had this cultural cachet of being subversive. It is the most heteronormative conservative show that I can think of."
Homer's also a bad dad.
He's a bad dad, but, like, he always comes to the realization of his deficiencies and then apologizes for them. Like, I watched the episode with Lisa's substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
With Dustin Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
And I was just like, this is a beautiful show. Like, the entire final act of this episode is Homer going to his children individually, solving their problems, and then feeling very proud and fulfilled for how good that he was after he had been a failure. Like, this is... I don't get it. Just because Bart Simpson says hell every now and then?
I don't know. Eat My Shorts is pretty...
That's true. That could have toppled the dynasty.
Salacious.
Telling me not to have a cow? Sir, this is America. I can have a cow if I would like to.
I thought of this, and I want to ruin both of your nights.
Yay.
I just thought, what if Inarritu made a time loop movie?
Oh, I hate you so much.
That's it. I'm getting off this call.
A Benedictine monk tortured to death for heresy has to relive the same day over and over again. No! He's locked in a stone cell and doesn't talk to anyone. Emmanuel Lubezki films it. It's 3 hours and 26 minutes long. It won 7 Oscars. Javier Bardem. What?
People who make movies don't listen to this podcast, do they? Because if they do, that movie's getting made.
I
And
hope
it's going
they
to be
don't.
on you.
This is not the first time.
What manner of God would allow this to happen to a man?
Yikes.
That's the
Will God
only line of
forgive us?
dialogue in the entire
No.
movie, by the way.
Then again, this is a 3.5 hour movie you're talking about. So that is prime chunking out viewing in between baby naps. So
Oh yeah,
I'm for
maybe
it.
it's not a movie. Maybe it's an HBO Max limited series event.
No, never mind. I'm out. I'm not interested in it all over again.
I'm even less interested than I was before.
Oh my god. Anyway, in your
I'm glad we're talking about this Palm Springs movie.
Yes, as I said, we are clearly wrapping up. Are there okay? So the last thing I'll say about Palm Springs, they see those dinosaurs, and I was like, if I don't have someone talk about the fact that they saw fucking dinosaurs before this movie ends, I'm gonna lose my shit. Because I was like, it could be that like the timelines are colliding or something. But yeah, they were just on shrooms, and Andy Samberg was like, remember when we saw the dinosaurs? And I was like, that's enough for me.
Well, we see them again at the end, and no one is on shrooms then.
Well, speak for yourself.
Okay, let me say, no one in the movie is on shrooms.
Yes.
Anyways, all right.
I also like the little post-credits thing where we find out that J.K. Simmons is going to be able to get out too.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what happens to Roy when he realizes he can get out, because like it took this time loop for him to be okay with his family again, and if he can move forward, because like, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe my recollection is false, but it sounded to me like he was maybe dissatisfied with being with his life prior to this.
Yeah, and then the time loop and being in the hospital and not being allowed to go to sleep or die.
Yes. So
Yeah.
like, what if the time loop was the only thing keeping him, happy with that life? What if breaking the time loop just ruins that bond that he's created with this fan? Probably not. It's probably fine. It's
He'll keep his memories of the time loop, so he gets to have that character building. And I would assume that now he's like, because he says, like, I already brought it up, I'm never going to get to see my little girl walk down the aisle. So I think that at least now he is more optimistic about the future instead of just how he was, which was
indeed.
Yeah.
Click
So,
did it better.
looking forward to the sequel that is all about Roy. It's called One Roy at a Time. Is that better or worse than my Inuritu Benedictine monk torture and murder story?
That's way better.
Okay. That's the one I'll pitch first.
There you go.
Cool. So any final thoughts on this movie before we wrap it up?
I think I put it all out there on the court and gave it 100%. So
I just want to thank God. I want to thank my teammates.
And especially God. I'll
Yes.
thank God twice.
God and Jesus. Without you, I am
Not
nothing.
the Holy Spirit, though. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit creeps me.
Total
the piss out of
hanger
me.
on, just unnecessary. Anyway, so that's our little bit of heresy for this episode. Let me remind everyone that we can be found on Twitter at Film Stage Show, Facebook, The Film Stage Show. Go to patreon.com to give us your money. And, of course, don't forget that you can get a free 30-day subscription to Mubi by going to mubi.com/filmstage, where you can watch all the episodes of Out One, as well as everything else that we talked about. So look forward to that. And, I guess that's about it. Michael Snydell, what are we talking about next week?
We are talking about Relic next week. And I can announce that we are talking with the person who used to be the host, Amanda Waltz.
Yes.
So she'll be back for 1 week, and sorry, I'm still going to be here.
For 1 week only, the original lineup. Actually, the
Are you
original
sure?
lineup was me and Danny and Nick. So
Are you sure you're going to be talking about Relic and not Palm Springs again?
No.
it's depends, I
Wow.
guess.
Wow, that Well, because of the time that went down like a lead balloon. All right, never
Well,
mind.
I was thinking
Too.
like, is it too late to bring up the fact that Bill Graham isn't here because he watched the wrong movie, and maybe we will talk about Palm Springs again because maybe he'll have watched it by then.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. It's never too late for now. That's a 30 Rock reference for everyone out there. Anyway, next week we will be talking about Relic. And then after that, I don't know what we're talking about. I'm sure we will figure it out. So that's it. Let's tell the fine people at home where we can be found between now and the next time. We will begin with our guest, Andy Crump. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AGRACRU. And you can find all of my collected writing at my blog, agcrump.wordpress.com.
Woo! Michael Snydell.
You can find me on Twitter at Snydell Letterbox. As I had announced, the intermission episode with Kyle Turner, where we talk about original cast album Company, will be out this week. We had a short intermission, guys. And... See, speaking of things that went down like a lead balloon, I was trying to make you feel better, Andy.
Well, it worked.
I'm happy to help.
His was a failure. Yours was a war crime.
Just like me and Yorgos Lanthimos, apparently.
The difference between Hurricane Katrina wiping out New Orleans and the Dresden bombing.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Speaking of Christ, I wrote about a movie that believes there's no God called The Painted Bird, which is about a young boy who is subjected to a litany of atrocities by well-known actors like Stellan Skarsgård, Harvey Keitel, and Julian Sands. It's also nearly 3 hours in black and white and regularly compared to Salo. Enjoy.
I had a blog for a while at the beginning of my time on the internet called "Oh Shit, It's Julian Sands," and it would just be anytime I saw Julian Sands in a movie, I'd take a screen cap and post it with the written like text over it that said, "Oh shit, it's Julian Sands." I don't remember why, but so I'm happy to hear that
I'm gonna find this.
Yeah, look for it. I'm sure there were like 6 posts on it. It was back in like the Tumblr days where you just like make a Tumblr because you were bored. I could do a letterbox list. I could do a letterbox list that's just called "Oh shit, it's Julian Sands."
Oh, this is amazing.
Did you find it?
I did.
What?
Just
wait. Now I have to see if I can find it. Oh yeah, it's "Oh shit, it's Julian Sands blog.tumblr.com. Yeah, there's only one page.
But what a page it is. I'm trying so hard not to laugh. And I'm trying not to laugh loudly through my house right now, but that's amazing.
It's Julian Sands. Yeah, I did this apparently in 2011.
What is Warlock, and what is this amazing outfit he's wearing?
Warlock is a witch from like the Salem witch trial. Well, a warlock from like the Salem witch trial days, and he is trying to do something, and like his introduction is him murdering a child.
Is it good?
I don't remember. I think it's exactly what you'd expect from Julian Sands playing a warlock. Okay. I feel like it's worth a watch. Anyway, so
what
that's
an endorsement.
So that's "Oh shit, it's Julian Sands." This subtitle is "One is never quite prepared for Julian Sands to make an appearance." Great. This is going to become the most popular thing that I've ever done. This is stupid Tumblr from 9 years ago.
Fuck the hand sanitizer. It's all about Julian Sands.
Yep.
That is how you will get America through the pandemic.
We can all agree that it's kind of shocking whenever Julian Sands shows up. Michael, you should send me a screen cap from this movie so that I can add it to "Oh shit, it's Julian Sands."
All right. I'll try to
If I
find
c-
something where he's not beating the kid.
If I can remember the login information for oh shit, it's Julian Sands. Anyway, so that's a fun little diversion that we had. Hopefully everyone goes and Googles oh shit, it's Julian Sands. And you enjoy that. Michael, were you done plugging your plugs?
I'm done plugging my plugs.
Okay, great. As for me, I can be found at my personal site, brianjrowan.com. I'm actually going to have a written review up on the film stage at some point, I think in early August. So look forward to that.
Oh, early Joggers.
I was going to say...
You have no idea when this movie's coming out.
I'm going to be... I can say it. I'm going to be reviewing The Tax Collector. Written and directed by
the
David
Schrader?
Ayer. What?
Is that the
No, that's the
Schrader?
card counter.
Yeah, he's talking about the David Ayer movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
with Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. I've actually started catching up on some of my David Ayer blind spots, just so that I can have better context. Because David Ayer is a director who I have liked many of his movies as either a writer or a director. I don't know. Maybe if we can't come up with something for the week after next, we should talk about Fury.
There you go.
I think Fury is a
I don't know about that
legitimately
one.
great movie.
That's the sound of Michael deflating.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
You know what? I don't know. A couple weeks, you never know how sick I'm gonna be, or
I'm gonna spring it on you. We're gonna be like, we're ready to talk about Tenet. Yay! The quarantine is over, and then we're gonna get on the mic, and I'm gonna say we're not talking about Tenet. We're only talking about Fury.
Analysts are saying Tenet is going to be delayed again this week.
Yes, of course.
Duh.
Yeah.
Like,
At
come on.
some point, the global box office is going to demand that things just don't get released in America.
I would like to see Saint Maud on VOD. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I want to see Saint Maud. A24 movie that has Catholic imagery in it. Put it in my veins.
Oh no, it's A24. Never mind. I'm not excited anymore.
Oh my god. Anyway, there goes Michael Snydell hating things that people like again. His anhedonia on full display, as it has been
But
through
they
most
put
of
out
this
a
episode.
Kelly Reichardt movie, so I have to like them for this month only.
And that is First
And
Cow,
it's a good one.
which we will probably talk about at some point.
You
Yes.
should watch it before second and third cow come out. So yeah, all right, I'm done. Anyways,
Anyway, thefilmstage.com, where you can find my writing in all these episodes. And my Twitter, everything, Instagram, whatever, is at Brian J. Rowan. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and tune in next time. All right, we're out.
well, this turned out to be a series of revelatory moments.
That's
Oh
how
shit,
we
it's
do.
Julian Sands.